All right. We are back in beautiful Belmont, New Jersey at the Grit Won't Quit podcast studio. I have a very special guest, friend, client, Tom from Manfredi Heating and Cooling. How are you? And air
Pleasure.
conditioning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How's
for having
everything
me.
going?
Everything's going well.
We're in the season.
We're in the season. We're busy. The heat the last couple of days has made the phones ring a little bit more.
It's good.
On top of our scheduled work that we have already.
So you're in the game a while. This is the second act. You've been in the sales game for 20, 25 years, and you decided that you're going to make a go of the HVAC business.
Yeah. So
is that why you got some of those gray hairs?
Whatever's left. Yeah. So in the COVID time, which was a tough time for everybody,
Yep.
Jen and I sat down and we decided that we wanted to open up our own business and have something for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to open up our HVAC business.
Did you look at other concepts or other businesses or other kind of things like that?
Yeah, so I looked into some franchise kind of things just to see what their model was like,
Mm-hmm.
and it was costly. So we decided to attempt to do it on our own to start. And two of my sons went to HVAC school.
Mm-hmm.
One went to school, Manhattan Refrigeration in Manhattan, the School of Refrigeration. And then Matthew went to school, Lincoln Tech in Union, and they both got their certifications, and they were working for different companies at the same time.
Sure.
So while this uneasy time of 2020
Mm-hmm.
happened, we were getting little jobs here and there, so we were kind of doing it after hours or on the weekend and that kind of thing, just to try to get our name out there and start.
Get your foot in the door.
Yep, and that's how we started at that time.
So now it's grown a lot over the 5 years. You have more than just the boys on the job.
Yep.
And so it's a tough space to jump into. Especially with private equity buying up HVAC companies, I feel like every day.
Yeah, it seems to be happening that way, which I think helps us as a smaller, mom and pop type business, because these equity firms are buying up these mid-size or larger size companies that are local to us here.
Mm-hmm.
And, some of the reviews and fallout isn't so good. So we're getting calls because of that.
I think that private equity, they're very smart guys, but they run the business differently than a mom and pop or people that are technicians by trade.
Yep.
It's harder to run a business, I believe, by the spreadsheet than it is to run it by the human touch and the human interaction. I built my whole business on referrals and what I call doing the right thing.
Yep.
So it's hard. I think it's harder when you're trying to manage a business through an economic model.
And that's the path they're going down. They're dealing with large takeovers of millions and millions of dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're, like you said, they're managing a spreadsheet and hoping to keep the numbers the same and grow.
My wife and I were having this conversation just a couple of days ago about roll-up companies, and the roll-up is a private equity PE model where you take 5 HVAC companies, you roll them up, you get rid of the administrative staff, you get rid of the duplication of this and that. And right off the bat, you have money that you made after that acquisition on top of the cash flow that's coming in from the business. And, the roll-up concept of, all right, we can trim here, trim there is great. But I think when you start really running everything based on that spreadsheet, you start to lose that customer referral, the Google review, the additional service, and then someone says, we're going to look for another company, and then you lose that customer. But they're always driving new marketing, so I don't really even think that sometimes they even follow the churn of that.
So the one thing that we've been seeing also is we're in a market that's so densely populated with houses and businesses and so on, that there is enough business to go around.
Sure.
It's there. It's just keeping your name high enough to have the trust of these homeowners or business owners to have you come in and do a job for them. And you said Google reviews. We're 4.9 on Google reviews, which is great. And listen, you're not going to please 100% of the people,
Yeah, that
even if it's
1/10
Yeah, I mean, even if it's no one's fault, you're still going to get a ding here and there.
Absolutely. And again, I think if you didn't get a ding, it doesn't look real either.
Correct.
Like, everybody I know has had a problem with somebody along the way. Like, as great as you want to be, as great of a customer service you want to put out there, something's going to go wrong on a job. Within your control, outside of your control, but something's going to happen.
Right.
So you can't always be at a 5.0.
Right. And we pride ourselves to do the job 100% correctly, 100% at a time. And, of course, there's always things that happen, right? But I always reiterate to my sons and to my staff, when we walk into somebody's home, you're a guest there, right? They're paying you to do a service and a job. Put your drop cloths down. Put the booties on your feet. Do the right thing to keep their house as cleanly as possible. Yes, you're going in and you're performing a construction act, but clean up after. Make sure everything is right.
Totally.
Talk to the people like, you're on the same level as them. You're talking to them. And when I go out and I sell a job, I'm selling our company as well as me. On every one of these jobs, I'm there. I make sure I'm there.
You have to be there.
Yeah.
I think that's important because, again, you want to be able to show the customer, yep, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it, yep, Again, you're not the one doing replacing the unit, but you're there to show them that, you're accountable to your guys.
Yep. And we even after the job is done, it's not like, give me my check and let me leave. I go through everything with them. I bring them outside. I show them the condenser. I show them what we did. I show them how we connected it. Bring them into wherever their interior unit is, whether it's a furnace or whether it's one of the ductless systems that's hanging on the wall. And we show them, this is how you use your thermostat. This is how you use your remote control. This is what you should do in the off seasons. And this is where you change your filter.
Controls?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have any remote controls in my house.
Well, you don't have any of the units hanging on the wall.
All right. Oh, that's fair. I need remote controls. So 5 years in.
Yep.
You like it more?
I do.
Are you glad you did it?
I am. And is there stress that comes along with being, a business owner? 100%.
That's the grit of being a business owner.
It is.
So what are some of the things that cause you stress?
If my calendar doesn't look full enough for my staff, what am I going to do on Wednesday? How am I going to have enough funds to make payroll? Did we pay the gas card? Make sure that, we could put fuel in the trucks. We have to go out and buy materials. I have to go to a customer and collect, deposits. So there's a lot of moving parts to make sure that, to make sure that everything runs as smooth as possible.
You also have the variable of weather, too.
Yeah, that hurts a lot. Like I was talking to a builder a few days ago that were in the middle of a job or towards the end of the job, and I called him up, and his name is Brian. And I said, Brian, where are we? Because we have to finish. And he said to me, Tom, the weather over the past 2 weeks hasn't agreed with me, and I wasn't able to do the outside grounds of the house. So you can't put your units there yet.
Yep.
So there's always those.
So you even have to have more in the pipeline because, again, if he's not ready for you, well, you got to put your guys somewhere else. Otherwise, you lose a day.
Yep.
And your day is a perishable inventory because if you don't use them, you can't.
Right. The day's gone.
Day's gone. And it's not like, tomorrow we'll just put 5 guys at one job. Well, if you have 2 guys if you cruise a 2-man cruise, you can't maybe put 5 guys at a
or
job.
you don't need that many guys at that job.
And then you're wasting labor.
Yep.
So
and
you always have to have.
And labor's not cheap.
Labor's not cheap.
So
that's probably one of your that and your material costs are your biggest expenses to running your operation.
100% they are. Yeah. And even after a day is over and it's 5 o'clock, our day doesn't end.
No.
Because we're home and we're doing quotes and I'm looking at plans from a builder and I'm trying to figure things out and and so on. So
is most of your work residential, commercial, or a good mix of both?
We're more weighted towards residential. Okay. We do have commercial work that we do. We bid on a couple jobs that we're waiting to hear back on, which kind of skews your revenue numbers a little bit because those jobs tend to be higher in terms of revenue. So if you were to look at it in terms of numbers of jobs, residential were obviously higher.
Sure.
in terms of revenue, if we get a couple of these jobs, our revenue is going to be weighted higher on the commercial side
with a few jobs that are just larger.
That are just larger.
And now, after you install a system and you walk the people around, you give them that remote control, do you also then do the maintenance ongoing for them? Like, do you become their guy? Are you their wingman of their HVAC system?
Well, we want to be,
okay.
And we offer that to them. And whether we install a system in June, we always tell the customer we're going to come back in October to start your heating. If we install a system in October, we tell them we're going to come back in May to start your air conditioning.
Just so that you know they know that everything is working as it should.
And then we also offer them a discounted program to be their maintenance company for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, everybody needs one of those.
You need it. I mean, it's like changing the oil in your car.
You can't, your products are too technologically advanced now for the homeowner really to do it himself.
A lot of the products now, as things change in the space, are really computers.
Yeah.
Everything is computer based. Everything has a control board in it. So there's always things that could go wrong, need to be adjusted, and so on. It's not like a carburetor from the future, or from the past, and now it's fuel injection. So it's just a different it's a different way that the systems are built now.
Yep. It's like when you plug your car in now.
Yeah.
When something's
right.
wrong,
exactly.
it throws off an error.
It tells you, right? It tells you what's wrong.
R55. And,
yeah.
Now you got to figure out what R55 means.
Right.
But that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So now the boys are in the business. You and your wife are in the business. When he said Jen before, that's his wife. I know that because they're clients of Wingman.
Yeah.
But so now you've expanded to people that are not related to you too.
Yep. Absolutely. We have two additional guys, Kevin and Dave, that work for us that are seasoned HVAC technicians. So they, add a value to my team, definitely. And we're also looking to expand beyond that.
So what's expansion look like now? You've talked about some of the grit of the payroll and the gas cards and the material bills, but now thinking about expansion, thinking about where you want to get to, thinking about what you want to do over the next 5, like what's your thought process?
So my thought process now is, and what I'm in the middle of doing is, in the past, I didn't do this enough, but now that we have more experience in the space, I've reached out to a few local builders that have given us a chance to do their work, which they've been happy with. And they continue to give us work. So, now that one builder became 3, which hopefully now becomes 6. So now I'm working with builders that way. And builders might not just be new home builders. It's renovations. It's, finishing a basement or, adding a second floor, in where used to be their attic or whatever it may be.
And they'll need you.
And they need, to expand the HVAC in that home. So we've definitely hooked up with 3 local builders in the area that have been feeding us work, and it's been working out well. I think our next position would most likely be to acquire a company that's the size of us, that would, in theory, make us double in our revenue size. Not being a private equity, but taking on
taking on another company
that's
so 2 of you together, can offer more.
Yeah, and there are these companies out there that are looking, to whoever may have started that business years back is at the time where they want to retire.
Sure.
And maybe they don't have family members to take on. The rest of their business.
There's some crazy stat out there I've seen online about how many baby boomers are looking to retire in the next X amount of years, and how many of them own a small business. Yeah. So I think there's going to be plenty of opportunity to start looking at some of those.
Yeah.
And not everyone's going to want to go the private equity route, and not everybody. Some people would rather see their business kind of stay the way,
stay the way that they know that they've done that business, and they see the way that we do our business, and it's, maybe it's equal to the path that they were on.
Yeah, again, over the years, I've had conversations with people that wanted to buy my business, and I always am concerned, because I did it a certain way, and I'll text you and just say, how are you? What's going on? Like,
Yep.
I know that the next owner is never going to do that. Like,
Right.
They're not going to have the same value system as I have. Like,
Right.
So, like, it's going to be hard the day that I do end up walking away, and I'm going to have to change my phone number, I think, because I'm going to be like, and I'm not going to look at the Google reviews because it's going to make me upset. But like, it's just hard. But there's other guys I think that would like to have a guy like you come in, take over the business, so that they know it's run the same way.
Yep.
And I think that'll be great.
And that's one of the things that I'm passionate about, is making sure that we keep these customers thinking that, or knowing that we're on the same level as them.
Yeah, we're going to do the right thing.
We're going to do the right thing. We're going to be there for them. And do we miss calls here and there? We do. I mean, it's just human nature,
Yeah, sure.
and things happen. Do we, make up the time to customers and make phone calls if we do make an error
Yeah,
somewhere? Sure. Of course we do. Where maybe some of these larger companies wouldn't. It would just be forgotten about. Well, we don't want to forget about anything.
Sure.
I mean, we still talk to customers that were our first customers 5 years ago, and we still do maintenance programs for them.
Great.
And so on. And that's how we want it to keep
That's
going.
how you want to grow it.
And when Jen and I don't want to work any longer, we want our sons to keep it going the same way.
That's great. That's great that you and Jen did that. I don't know why my parents didn't start a business for me, but I'll talk to them about that. I'm gonna
Yeah,
see
that's
them
another-
next
that's
weekend.
another story.
Mom, I'll talk to you about why you didn't start a business for me, and we can go through that problem. So I love to hear what you guys are doing. I love that this is growing, and I love that 5 years later you've expanded. You've put on more trucks on the road. You've brought on more team members, and I like the next 5. So when you look at like the HVAC space, if you could do it again, would you make any changes? Would you have gone into another industry, or are you happy with what's happened?
I'm happy with what has happened so far. Would I have changed the way that I've done things? Well, it's like anything else. Of course, you know the mistakes you made, so you don't want to make them again. So I don't know if I would have actually changed things, but maybe I would have been a little smarter with different decisions that we have made along the way.
I think that's also how you learn too.
And that's how you learn. Yeah. I mean, I tell my sons all the time. I mean, I learn every day.
Absolutely.
You never stop.
The day you stop learning is the day you get behind, because there's always some tidbit of information you hear. Again, it could be a casual conversation. It could be something you're learning through an education system. You always learn something, or you always think about something. I mean, I know when I talk to customers, I always think about, could I have said that differently? Could I have said that a little bit better so they understood it, where they don't look at me like, are you crazy? Like, or you're having a conversation and someone goes like this, and oh, that didn't go over well.
Right.
Whatever you just said didn't
Yep.
go over. But again, so I know after meetings, after conversations I have with clients, like if I see something like that, well, what did I say there, and how could I have said it differently? So the next time I don't do the same thing.
Right.
And I think that's part of being a business owner and being observant. And again, when you're talking to people, you have to be on their level, like you said that. Like I think when I hear people talking technical jargon, for me, I just kind of shut it off. I'm like, I got to talk to someone that can speak the same level. And even when we talk websites, I never go, oh, we're going to do this and blah blah blah. We're going to use 8.3 here and this and that. I just go in and say, we're going to make you a website that's user friendly, mobile friendly, blah 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 blah, so that you could understand that, versus the technicals of what the database structure looks like. It's not what you're looking for. And the same thing with the HVAC system. They want to know that it's going to work. It's a good quality piece of equipment, and if there's a problem, you're there.
You're there. And what's my warranty like?
Yeah.
And what happens if?
Yep.
And that. So it all makes a difference to the people to understand at this level.
Sure. And I think that's important. So I think as you continue to compete, like, there's going to be less guys like you. You have the private equity guys. You got the guys that are a man in the van. And then there's very few of you guys in the middle that are, true to be real business owners, mom and pop companies that want to just do the right thing for the customer and, right thing for their company.
Yep. And, you had asked a while ago, what made us go down this path of HVAC? Well, obviously because my kids went to school for that. But then looking at statistics, just in the United States, of building, where was the boom of building, right? It was in the early 2000s.
Sure.
Well, these systems are made to last 20 years. I mean, that's just the average of what they last, 15, 20, some 25, right? Well, we're in that space. So
Wow, so
every
time
one
is
of these
good, yeah.
homes that you see,
gonna
somebody needs something. They're using these machines in their house 12 months out of the year, whether it's their boiler in their basement or a gas furnace or an air conditioning system. Something's getting used
All the time.
all the time. So what happens? It breaks down.
Yeah.
Now
These tankless, what do you? Are you a fan of those?
we are a big fan of them. I have one in our home. We have 4 bathrooms in our house. I have 1 tankless water heater and never wait for hot water.
That's pretty cool.
It's was a great product when it came out, and it keeps getting better as time goes on. They always make enhancements to it. But again, it's only going to last as long as the homeowner allows it to last if they take care of it. Again, I always go back to, you change the oil in your car. You got to service these products too, because they're high-ticket items, they're machines, and they're used every day in your home.
In my home's 20 years old, probably. I think they did a renovation around 2000 and something before me, and it takes a little bit of time for that hot water. It's funny when my wife and I are going out, she'll say, "I'll take my shower first, so you have hot water right away." And we have a little joke about that.
Yeah.
But at some point in time, we're gonna have to.
It's going to happen. Yeah.
At some point in time, I'm gonna call up Jen and say, "Have Tom come over.
Yeah,
Let's get this.
take a look.
Let's get this tankless in, because I definitely would like at 6:30 in the morning for the hot water just to."
Yep. And there's so many enhancements now that.
I have a workaround. I brush my teeth first. I do other things, but.
But what's happening when you do that? What are you doing? What are you doing when you're brushing your teeth and such? What is happening in the shower?
The water's getting warmer.
Yeah, but what are you doing with that water?
I'm wasting it.
Yeah.
I'm wasting a lot of water.
Yeah.
I waste 2
that
minutes.
You're paying for.
I'm wasting 2 minutes of water if you think about it. By the time you go, you brush your teeth.
Yeah.
It gets warmer. Yeah.
But it's gallons.
Yeah. Oh, it's waste.
Yeah.
I'm on the plan. I just got to figure out when we're going to do it.
Right.
So, but I like.
And we'll take care of you.
Yeah,
you know that.
I know you will. Not a question. But definitely. I definitely want to get to that. I have, I bought this house. This is quick off the topics of the podcast. My wife loves this house, and she's like, "Oh, this house is great. Needs no repairs." I looked at it. I go, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah.
In front, like as we're walking out the door, I go, "Are you crazy? There's like 12 things that need to be fixed here." Nah, we don't need to do anything. Call my wife now. She's like,
"You're right.
It's probably closer to 15, but we're down to like the last 3 or 4. You're not even on the list yet, but you're on the list, but you're not on the list.
Yeah.
We're down to like 3 or 4 left, and then we'll be ready for you. But she said to me 2.5 years ago, "Oh, nothing to do here. Nothing to do." Crazy.
I was at Jen's son, my stepson Drew, his girlfriend. Their parents have a nice home. It's in Columbus, New Jersey, which is
West.
Yep. He called me up the other day. He actually texted me on Sunday. He said, "I got a problem. Both air conditioners aren't working." So the house is 22 years old. So again, just what we talked about a few minutes ago.
Fit the bill.
Yeah. So so I go yesterday and I helped them, and we got one of the systems running. But he said to me, "We've done every other major renovation in the house. We changed his water heater for him a year and a half ago." He said, "We did the roof, we did, whatever, sprinkler system, this, that, and the other thing." And he said, "This is last on the list, but I had to wait for my girls to get out of college. The last one just graduated, so now we're ready."
There you go, perfect timing.
So it worked out. But it's more money they're going to spend.
Yeah. Listen, it's part of owning a house.
Yep.
But I think this is great what you do, and I think you and Jen are great people. I think we align very well from the first day I met you at our office in Manasquan. But I love what you do, and I want to see continued success. As we wrap up today, let people know where they can find you online, on social, on your contact information, just so anybody that's interested in discussing more with you, some of the things you can offer, let them know.
Sure. Thank you. Our phone number is 732-856-8696. We're located in Farmingdale, New Jersey. Our website, www.manfrediheatandair.com, per wingman.
Nice.
And we are on social media. We have our Facebook page at Manfredi Heat and Air. We have our Instagram page at Manfredi Heat and Air. We post things all the time on our social media, so you can see different jobs that we've done. I try to do like a roughly a 1.5 to 2 minute video on every new change out or installation that we actually do, so you could actually see our work that's being done.
And you're pretty good on social with
I
your
try.
music.
Yeah, I try. I try to make it upbeat, and
I love it.
I know it's not something that a homeowner's going to go and have a cocktail party around their furnace, but you try to make it as nice as you possibly can.
When we do my water heater, if you want, we could have cocktails around
Well, that's a different story.
Perfect. Tom, thanks for coming on today. Continued
pleasure.
success.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to hear more.
Thank you.